Is Rich Eisen there?
Rich is there.
Okay. Hey, Rich, how are you?
I'm great, Dan. I'm getting ready to download from Netflix all my favorite Four Stooges movies.
Oh, okay. So you heard about this with Letterman last night.
Yeah.
All right, I want you to be a judge because you're a guy who doesn't take things personally.
Okay.
You're not sensitive. Like, you can move right past this. All right. Here's Adam Sandler and David Letterman last night. And Dave was talking about maybe being in a movie with Adam Sandler now that he's going to retire. And then you tell me how I should feel about this.
In your movies, you run that stooge Dan Patrick in. He's in all He loves you.
Then they go to commercial break eventually. Now, keep this in mind. You know, yesterday, my birthday, and I'm watching the show. And I said to my wife, should I take that personally? She said, I don't think it's a compliment. So then I thought, all right. Now, you don't want to go to bed mad. And so I thought I would wait. Maybe I'd get a couple more laughs out of Sandman and Letterman. And then they came back from commercial break and said this.
Love you, family.
Now, when you see Dan Patrick, when I referred to him as a stooge, it was only a light-hearted reference.
He knows he's a stooge. Don't worry about it. He loves you.
All right. How would you take that?
Did you get the number of the bus that you get thrown under?
Yeah.
Did you get that number?
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, that's bucket list stuff, though, being referred to as a stooge by David Letterman.
So you would be fine with that?
Oh, my gosh. Can you refer to me as a stooge at any point in the next few days? That'd be great.
So David Letterman calls you a stooge.
That's the greatest. Come on.
Is it?
That's been, what would you rather? Listen, it's one of those things that you, first of all, did he say your name right?
No, I don't believe that any publicity is good publicity.
You know what I mean?
Nonsense.
Dan, did he spell your name right? Did he say your name right?
Oh, yeah, he did.
But the thing that you should definitely get on Sandler about is he went all in too. He said, well, he knows he's a stooge.
Yeah.
And sometimes, as you know, humor is a way to communicate to people exactly how they really feel.
There's a little truth in every bit of kidding.
That's what I'm saying, that perhaps Sandman has been attempting to let you know he really thinks you're a stooge. And this was the unfortunate venue that he chose.
Well, Sandler's going to be on in about 15 minutes. And
all right, I think you need to address this straight on, Dan.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point by you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Listen, I try to, as you know, I try to make things a little bit better whenever I talk to you.
And you do. And you're not a guy who takes things personally,
no,
and that's what I love.
Never.
You're not sensitive, and you move on. And Fritzy said I should move on.
When you hazed me from 1996 to about 2001, you mean that? Is that what you're talking about?
But you moved on, and look at what it did for your career. I made you better.
You know what? You definitely. It was forged. I was forged.
Yeah.
That's the only way that you could put it.
But I'm here for you.
Thank you, Dan.
Always here for you.
And likewise.
And my family is here for you, and your family's there for me. I don't know Dave. Letterman is not there for me and my family.
Well, maybe despite his broadcasting Hall of Fame status, his legacy as one of the greatest broadcasters of all time, deep down he's jealous.
Okay, here's the point, Rich, and you touch on something that I think this is why David Letterman is a pansy in saying this.
Oh, wow.
No, I mean that in a nice way.
Only in the nicest?
In the nicest way. I'm calling him a pansy.
Yeah.
I was on what show for 15 years? At what time of the night was I on for 15 years?
Head to head.
Yes.
Straight up. Big show against late show. Big show against late show.
Yeah. Yeah. Zing, wow. Dave. That's what happened. He hated me because I was opposite him.
So why is he so friendly to Olbermann then?
He's mad at me.
Listen, you brought it. I don't mean to go there.
He gets back at me by going through Keith, loving Keith. You know what? That's how you get back at your ex-girlfriend. I know what's going on here. There are games being played, mind games. Speaking of mind games here,
yes.
Should Michael Sam have had full disclosure that he was going to have a partnership with Oprah Winfrey?
I don't think so. He needs to get drafted, and we all know that NFL teams frown upon that sort of stuff. So, and plus, why would anybody think that's what he was going to do? I mean, I got to be honest with you, Dan. This one's a total head scratcher to me because it plays into all the narratives that he was trying to play against.
Exactly.
The entire time that he was going through the combine. I mean, it flies directly in the face of him wanting to be known as just a football player, asking the entire media, please treat me as a football player.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if Johnny Manziel or any other rookie would do it, we'd be jumping all over him.
Oh, we'd kill Manziel if he was doing this.
There's just no question. And it also plays into that, what I think was that the awful lie that was being, bandied about, that any team that would take him would have a media frenzy around it just merely because a gay man was in their locker room, an openly gay man was in their locker room. Well, now there's a media circus. Potentially, I don't know what that's the whole thing too about this, is that I don't know what this looks like, because there may have been reports, quote unquote, yesterday that OWN, the Oprah Winfrey Network, has told Sam they would not shoot him at training camp or at OTAs or at mini camps. Well, that's not Oprah's decision. That's Jeff Fisher's decision. That's Les Snead's decision.
Are the Rams in a bad position here?
Of course they are, because that's the last thing, is it puts the people that they have that went ahead and made his draft dream come true, it automatically puts them in a tough spot, because listen, if they allow cameras into the locker room for a 7th round draft choice, that's automatically telling the rest of the locker room that they're making a different decision for this guy than everyone else. And that is what sows seeds within a locker room that you don't want. So there's just everything about it, and he and his handlers were spot on from February through this very moment. So I don't even, if I had a crystal ball, and I haven't spoken to anyone directly involved about it, I don't know how you go ahead with it at this point in time.
He's Rich Eisen, NFL Network. Full introduction, the host of NFL Game Day Morning, the Rich Eisen podcast on NFL Network, and latest podcast with Charles Davis, Daniel Jeremiah. Download it, richeisen.nfl.com and iTunes. The Browns say that they're going to have Johnny Manziel on lockdown here, that they're not letting the national media in with this. What do you think of that decision to not put him on display and say, come on in and start writing about the Cleveland Browns?
Well, I think that's just fine, because if he was a New England Patriot, that would happen. I mean, that's exactly what would happen. It's just anyone who's brought in here. I mean, that's what, again, when Jeff Fisher was on our draft coverage moments after picking Michael Sam, and Mike Silver handed the phone to him, and I asked him, walk me through your process of picking Michael Sam, he started talking about the rest of his draft class and saying, we just picked another good player too, because they went back-to-back with players in the 7th round. Sam was the first. And that's what coaches want to do. They just basically want to remove any sort of media firestorm from anything and just say he's just one of 53. He's just one of whatever 90 players we have on our roster right now, even though that's not true. They have to remove that because of any fear that they have deep down that Manziel plays into it, he's the moth and that's his flame. And he needs to, succeed. And they may find out one day that he needs that to succeed. I don't know. Again, that's part of the great, just one of the many great things about Manziel coming into the NFL and how much people pay attention. I got to tell you, I mean, my Twitter feed, the amount of people blew me up during Thursday night's coverage of the draft last week that we were talking about him too much. And every time I got off the set in Radio City when the cops were all around and the security guards, they were probably off-duty cops, or I'm going through JFK coming home, and TSA agents, they were all with thick New York accents. The one player they wanted to talk about was Johnny Manziel. They're not asking me about a jet draft or a giant draft. It was all Manziel. Is he going to do well? Is he going to get blown up? Is he going to have his behind handed to him? Is he going to succeed? Can he actually get Cleveland to the promised land? Everybody. It's unbelievable. So Cleveland, I think, is doing the right thing, certainly right off the bat, by removing a little bit of the glare right off the bat. But let's be honest. I mean, week one, do we want to see Brian Hoyer versus Big Ben or Johnny Manziel versus Big Ben? I mean, with all due respect.
How does it feel to open up for Adam Sandler? He's coming up next.
Is he? Well, listen, it's an honor. I'm going to scratch that off the bucket list. And I can only hope that I softened you up a little bit, Dan, because it does seem that you were a little bit bitter when I got on the phone.
No, I'm rallying here, but
that you're just it stings. It's left a mark. But listen, just keep the chin up, and do address head on with Adam why he agreed, why he did say that you are a stooge, and just scratch the surface a little bit and see if there's anything deeper.
Thank you, Rich.
You're welcome.
He's Rich Eisen from the NFL Network.